Hey everyone, my name is Ben O'Neill and I'm making a short video to go over some of the ways that you can stay off your phone and avoid procrastinating. I know that especially many of my Gen Z peers who grew up in the age of the smartphone can relate to feeling less productive and focused because of time spent on your phone. This video will go over some of the ways that have helped me retain my focus and keep the screen time to a minimum. Let's begin. So the most obvious place to start is the screen time setting on your phone. You're going to want to go into settings and then go into the screen time section, which I've underlined right here. From there, you can activate screen time, and this gives you a graph showing your weekly usage and which apps you're using more. I find it very useful to pay attention to the categories of the apps, such as social media, entertainment, things like that, and also look at number of pickups and notifications by app to get a better idea of what specifically is taking up the most of your time. Talk about that more here. Overall, this feature gives you your weekly and daily averages, both in general and specifically by app. It also gives you the categories of apps which are taking up most of your time and what you're getting most distracted by in terms of pickups and notifications, which you can see right here, also averaged out into days of the week. Now, it can be very helpful to set some boundaries by going to the app limits and then adding a time limit. You'll see a list of app categories to help you find specific areas you need to cut back on. The example I gave, such as social media, if you find yourself using too much time on apps like TikTok, Instagram, things like that. These limits are meant to serve as a reminder as well. It doesn't have to be something that's limiting. You can override it, but even just being reminded sometimes how much time we're spending on these different apps will give us some perspective to when we're just wasting time. Another important feature that you can make use of is downtime. Downtime lets you block access to most apps during certain hours, which can be useful when you're trying to study or go to bed. When downtime is active, it functions similar to the do not disturb feature, which makes it so that people aren't able to bother you with text messages or calls, similar except for apps. This helps to eliminate the major attention drain of notifications and keep your mind occupied with other things, especially at times when you're trying to focus or when you're trying to relax before sleep. These things can be very distracting, having the constant dings going off and notifications as to what you're missing. So just blocking that out, at least for certain periods of the day, is another very helpful way to keep yourself focused and not spending so much time on the phone. All these settings and knowing how to use them is important. It's also important that we adjust our behavior so that you're not relying on the phone so much as a source of stimulus. So there's certain behavioral strategies that you can utilize as well. Keeping your phone out of sight when you're trying to do important things, such as studying, or even keeping it inaccessible from you while you're sleeping, like just far enough so you can't reach it from your bed. This is something that I've been doing, and I found it help a lot. Grayscale mode, this is sort of a feature, but it's also more of a permanent thing, which is why I have it under behavioral. Even just having your phone in black and white, not having the flashing colors and the lure of that can make it a lot easier to ignore it and not be so fixated on what's going on there since you're getting rid of some of the visual stimuli, which is very important. And then another thing that I've been using a lot more recently is the one screen rule. This basically means that if I'm on a laptop, I'm on my laptop. If I'm watching TV, I'm watching TV. And the phone is its own separate thing that doesn't interfere with those times. Now, I find that even for recreational activities like just watching a movie, just building the habit of not having to check your phone in these periods can sort of just build up the behavior to not have constantly have that as a reflex that you go back to over and over again. So even in these times, I do think it's important to still recognize when you're trying to do something that doesn't involve the phone. And though it can sometimes be difficult to not feed into the constant streams of distraction that do exist on our phone, there are some easy strategies and settings we can use to remain focused on other things. Tracking screen time, limiting certain apps, minimizing distracting notifications, and slight alterations to behavior can all be extremely effective. Knowing yourself and what distractions you are personally more prone to is essential to building strategies and systems that let you prioritize your own focus and success. Thank you for watching the screencast, and I hope this can be at least somewhat helpful as we all try to better help ourselves focus in this age of constant distraction. Thank you, and have a good day.